It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Hey, welcome back to the program. One we got on the line, Senator Linda Collins-Smith is with us. Linda, welcome back to the program.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'll just start with the obvious. I was really disappointed with the primary results. I am certainly sorry that you lost that election. I think your conservative stance is going to be truly missed in that seat.
Well, I certainly am going to hate to leave my colleagues down there with a couple of less great conservatives who followed the platform. I think that I'd love to be down there to help them finish some work that we've started. And they just need to know that I'll still be there to help them.
Well, one of the things that you did stand so strong on, Linda, was the Second Amendment. And I saw this piece. I wanted to have you on to talk about it. Concerns voiced on guns in Arkansas schools. Moms, educators get turned in front of the commission. There's a commission that was formed by the governor to study school safety after some of these school shootings that have taken place. I wanted to get your take on this. Where do you think the right policy is going forward?
Well, I looked at this article that you've mentioned here, and I do have some concerns. Obviously, safety of our children is critical, and we want them educated. But while they're in the care of our, of our schools and the teachers, and while they're away from our families, it's critical they need to be safe as well. But I read the direction. I look at this article, and I have a lot of concerns in there. And I think that, the first thing that I'd like to see is the accountability of the local area. We want to make sure that it's on the community and not on the state. We can mandate some things, but we certainly don't want that. You don't want that coming from the state government.
So you're saying you should leave, so whatever the gun policy is or the no gun policy is, you think it should be left to the local school board or the local school governments?
Well, certainly if it's going to go the direction of what that article is, it's obvious that is a more left-leaning it's more about controlling your Second Amendment rights and the right to protect those children. If that article is an indication of where the governor would stand on protecting our children, then I would say definitely you don't want that, because truly, think of this, Paul, every school, every layout, every community, every tax base is different.
Yeah.
Why would you want the state of Arkansas to mandate everything the same? Mm-hmm. And you don't want a paper policy. Every school should have a true physical safety policy plan. And I'm telling you, that should include some type of physical plan, including a plan that would involve, as far as I'm concerned, a person that's armed to be able to shoot back if it's necessary to protect children.
Yeah.
Now, that accountability, in my opinion, you have a school board which is elected. The school board should have accountability, and so should the superintendent of that school. But that also means parents should be vocal, and the safety of your children should be a critical issue in your community. So I think families, every community should take charge, and I think one of the things that we have to do, and we should rise in America and in our state, and that is to remove that no-gun zone policy. I think that's one of the failures. We have put our children at such risk, and when do you wake up, America, and local communities, and demand that be removed? But this article concerns me. It very much concerns me. Does it you when you read that?
Oh, yeah, it does. And, the direction of, where you're, people don't see guns as tools. Tendency, they see guns as like sentient beings, that it's the gun's fault and everything else. They don't understand. Well, I'll tell you, one community does understand that the only way to end the sick fantasies of these psychos that come in with death on their minds is to send bullets back in their other direction, send bullets right back at them. Now, the community of Clarksville, they realized this a couple of years ago, and they started training their teachers, and they've had, the success. It's been a model, I think. If other people want to do it, they should look at Clarksville. But the Clarksville superintendent is actually, his name is David Hopkins, and he's quoted in this article. He's on the commission, which is good that he's on this commission. But he questioned why the speakers, who were anti-gun, seem to support school resource officers, but not armed school district employees. The volunteer armed school employees receive the same training on weapons that law enforcement officers receive, he said, adding that his district can't afford to hire sufficient numbers of school resource officers, but can afford to train, school personnel to be, to carry here. And so we do have an example again in Clarksville about what is possible, what is feasible, and it's just interesting how people just they don't support that. They want less. They want less responders available. And if you're only going to say we need school resource officers, then you're basically advocating for less first responders that can be there in case something really bad happens.
Exactly. And there's something else that I want to point out when you say that. In the area where it says this lady, I'm sorry, I don't have her name, but she points out that the FBI reports that of 160 shooting cases between 2000 and 2013, that there was only one Marine stopped a shooting. That may be only one reported during that time, but I'm going to tell you something. We know that in the last several years alone, there have been many cases where citizens have seen shootings stop. And I have to say that I guess I just don't believe that, or that I guess what I'm saying, maybe that's the only one that was reported. But we know that time and time again we've seen cases where the news has said it's not important to show where someone stopped killings or stopped, someone from getting harmed. I think it's a fantastic news that someone stopped people from being slaughtered. And I think it should be the top of the hour news that should be reported. And so I think that to shed it in the light that it was not important or that it's not big news, I think that should be.
Yeah, let's be clear. I'm leaving something really important out of this article. We both have the speakers at this commission were from Moms Demand Action. So that's Michael Bloomberg,
yes.
Radical anti-Second Amendment, Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And so that was their bent. And so, we know the governor has been favorable to them in the past when it comes to taking meetings with them and things like that. And so we definitely do need to be aware that this commission might be, kind of, I hope it's not hijacked. I hope we have recommendations that just say, hey, look, we need our local school districts to have more freedom here. I mean, Austin Bailey, one of the representatives there from Moms Demand Action, said, and they always say this, she said she supports the Second Amendment right to own and bear arms, was critical of the governor for not advocating for additional regulations to address school shootings. Quote, you have the power to recommend regulations that will save children's lives, and I hope you do that. Please don't endanger our children and teachers by recommending that more guns be introduced into our schools. So it is a very leftist ideology that's being kind of advocated here, at least at this one meeting. And I think most Arkansans would agree that it's the gun-free zone problem. They know that they're going to have a maximum amount of time to inflict the murder and the rage if there's less guns, less first responders who are there on campus ready to go and fully trained.
Exactly. And I'm not looking at the screen, so I didn't know that we should have stated that, and I thank you for clarifying that. But I want to make sure that everyone else knows this as well. Before, when we did the legislation, that the so-called enhanced carry mess, and it is a mess, and it remains a mess. But if you'll remember something I want to point out with this, that's the only group that got to visit with the governor prior to that legislation being sealed the deal. That was two pieces of legislation that created that mess. And so they're the only group that got to meet with the governor. The groups that made the appointment, after the fact, they did not get to meet. A group that went down that was against this legislation that passed did not get to meet till after all that legislation passed. So I just want to make sure you understand, the people understand this. So when you see what's going on, the people need to speak loud and clear, not only to your legislators, but make sure you're talking to families out there, that they speak up in their local communities about these circumstances. That's your children. Your most valuable asset is your child. You better speak up. You didn't go to the polls to vote, but you better be speaking up. Those are your children sitting in those seats in those schools. And so you need to protect them. So you need to speak up about what's going to go on in the schools.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure I point that out because I was there, and I'm the one who made those appointments, and they did not get to be seen until after that legislation passed. And so it's unpopular. And that remember, went from 6,000 to over 13,000 members of Patriots Act 746. And the reason it doubled like that was the outright anger and upset and what they found out about that legislation. So I just want to point that out.
No, that's certainly, it's a good thing to point out there. We're talking with Senator Linda Collins Smith about really, keeping our kids safe at school.
Safety virtual.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. And, it is a serious issue. The concept, you mentioned enhanced carry, the idea of was just simply going to let professors carry if they had a concealed carry license, and of course that absolutely was unacceptable to the economic elites, the university elites that are controlling things here in the state, and so that bill ended up just really being it just dissected and added to. And how many pages of regulations that's really what they did. They took what would have been a simple bill, wouldn't have been any new regulations, and to adding how many pages of regulations, Linda?
It's approximately 44-ish pages now. Which now it's just increased. It's just absolutely, how does anyone carry that? And another thing, Paul, remember, and I want to ask you something that we don't talk about. We added all these pages of regulations, like 44 approximate pages now of regulations. And remember, your excellent Senate Judiciary Committee failed that hijacked bill. Failed it. It was pulled out of committee, and people passed it worrying about the NRA. I'm going to tell you something. Even the NRA went on the news radio and said there's something wrong when that second bill came back around, and it just became a mess. So I just want to say to you that when you think about this bill, think about this regulation. If there is no penalty for concealed carry, and all this regulation is on there, let's say they carry somewhere that this regulation says you're not supposed to carry and they're concealed. You got a concealed carry license. So if there's no penalty, do you really care if there's all that regulation?
Yeah. Do we have any word? I mean, when do you think the Attorney General is going to respond to your letter asking for an opinion?
Well, they say that it's out there, and they say that it's done, and they say that we're waiting on it to get the final okay for release. And so I'm waiting on that final release. I guess I need to send a reminder letter, a formal letter of reminder, and I guess I'm going to have to do that. I hated to do that, and the election, the primary is over, so I guess it's safe to send that letter now.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll do that and say, okay, I think it's okay to go ahead and do the opinion. I'm not trying to be ugly. I am trying to get a response to the important questions for the people of the state of Arkansas.
All righty, Senator Linda Collins Smith, we appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me about this important safety issue for our children.
Yes.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Hey, folks, coming up.